So this should be the final part of this short series of soft-spoken videos on my Disney VHS and videocassette collection as of now. So now we're going to look at this waffle bookcase here. It's going to be the last of the collection. So I put all my cardboard slipcover tapes in this shelf. Sans the Alice in Wonderland Classics release. And then extra stuff here, some other variants that I didn't put in the milk crate. And then the beta tapes. And we'll look at some non-Disneys as well that I happen to have. So on this first shelf, let me take these out. Got some stacking here. So this was the 1987 wave of Cartoon Classics volumes, and this ran all the way up until like the early to mid-90s. They all came in cardboard slipcover cases, of course, and they made a little box set. The first 5 volumes, then volumes 6 through 10. But I only have the volumes 1 through 5. So you got, here's Mickey, here's Donald, here's Goofy. I can only think of The Shining when I see those titles, you know. That's just me, though. There's Goofy. Silly Symphonies. There's Pluto. Very simple covers. They're kind of like those covers that you see nowadays for animated movies where it's just a plain background, like a solid color, and a close-up of a character's face. And while I don't really like those kinds of covers for DVD and Blu-ray releases of animated movies, I could probably say the same about these, but in 1987, these were, Disney, nobody else was really doing covers like these. And these still look very, very nice because, I don't know, it's like they're not the best covers Disney's ever done, but these are nice to have. And yeah, if you think about it, yeah, they are sort of the precursor to those covers that I can't stand. But yeah, I don't mind them here. I don't know what that's all about. And then, of course, these are the ones from the early 90s, like Halloween Haunts. It's a good one to have for this season. I should get the other one, too, Donald's Scary Tales. And Fun on the Job, which was a special edition. As you can see, Goofy is in the diamond instead of Mickey. Running alongside the new Cartoon Classics line was the Mini Classics line, which was started in 1988 and would be home to film featurettes, like segments of the package features, the anthology package features of the 40s. Like Peter and the Wolf from... I'm so sorry about this. Peter and the Wolf from Make Mine Music. And Bongo, Mickey and the Beanstalk were from Fun and Fancy Free. Mickey and the Beanstalk is a former rental. The place that was offering it for rent cut the cardboard slipcover box and so that it would fit in this white stock thick case. It's not at all like those softer clamshells. And then the ones that I had stacked there, let me get those. Your arm gets kind of tired when you're holding a camera. I should be using my tripod, really. So, some more slipcover releases. Canine Commando was a standalone compilation. It was like one of those filler titles that Disney would do for holiday promotions, and in the case of Canine Commando, it was for the 86 holiday promotion. There were some other ones from around that time, too, like the Unsinkable Donald Duck. I believe that was what it was called. We got 2 classic sing-along songs volumes from the late 80s. Using the old logo there. Got the Zippity-Doo-Dah and You Can Fly. This is before they numbered them in the early 90s. Good stuff. So let's go over to here. Some more slips. But we're going to put the camera down here. First up, so these releases here with the late 85 Walt Disney Home Video layout scheme. These cardboard slipcover titles were from May 1986 from the Wonderland sale, which was the promotion that Disney launched for the classics release of Alice in Wonderland. And this is that release of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Also in this promotion was Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. Also got The Absent-Minded Professor. In 1986, Disney colorized this film, as it says here in the little triangle. It was originally a black and white film, and then they colorized it, much in the same way Ted Turner colorized classic black and white films like Casablanca and such, which is a very controversial move at the time, and I suppose it was controversial for Disney as well. And then Bedknobs and Broomsticks. So those are all the Wonderland sale titles that I have. If I remember correctly, the other ones were Davy Crockett and the River Pirates and possibly The Happiest Millionaire. I don't remember. The original VHS release of The Journey of Natty Gann. This was a contemporary film. This little banner here. You can smell the self-consciousness. This, continuing on the history lesson from the previous video. So after Disney formed Touchstone, they became more comfortable making more PG films, but as Disney features. The Journey of Natty Gann was one of them. It's the 86 release, on the 86 VHS release. The movie came out in 1985 in theaters. Unfortunately, it didn't do very well, but it was pretty well liked. For years, it was unavailable in its original form until the Disney Movie Club Blu-ray came out. It was in the widescreen format that it was shot in. Babes in Toyland. This is the 1990 release, I believe. Disney released a random batch of live-action films to VHS in these slipcovers around 1990. I suppose that's when this Journey of Natty Gann VHS is from as well. It literally reuses the same cover and a lot of the same design scheme as the 86 release. This one's from quite a bit later. I never actually got a year on that, but I always surmised it was like 87 or 88. Possibly 89. It uses one of those big labels that Disney slowly phased out in 1990. So maybe it is from 1990. They're still using labels that size in 1990, just not as much. So I'm going to say like 89 or 90. Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. Of course, a remake of the Walt Disney film, The Incredible Journey. It's even got the proof of purchase. I think that's pretty cool. It's always nice. There it is, the Walt Disney's Studio Film Collection edition of Treasure Island. Disney created this line in 1991 for what they thought was the cream of the crop of live-action Disney movies, the most memorable films. Treasure Island, of course, was the first entirely live-action film that Disney made, as in it wasn't a hybrid movie that had animation in it as well. And as I went over in the previous video, the previous releases of this film on VHS, on any home video format, were an edited version that was rated G, that was released theatrically in 1975. This is the original 1950 cut that would have gotten a PG rating from the MPAA if released. And we also got The Three Lives of Thomasina, also in this line. Here we have a volume of Dinosaurs, of course the Disney Jim Henson sitcom that ran on ABC in the early 1990s. and the entirety of it is on Disney Plus. This tape only contains 2 half-hour episodes on it. That was your best bet back then, before they made DVD box sets and such of these shows. There's a touchstone in a slip, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This is the 1989 VHS. One of my favorite films. And here is a Walt Disney World vacation video from 1998. You can tell because it has a sneak preview of Animal Kingdom, which opened in 98. And there's presumably like a little brochure in there. This whole thing is a brochure. It's a video brochure. A time capsule. So, on this next shelf are tapes without cases. Most of these, if not all of them, are from when I was little. And I'm probably the culprit here. I probably ruined a lot of those boxes. But at least the tapes are still intact. So let's have a look at them, shall we? One of them is actually another vacation video. Pretty neat. A minute here. I'm actually going to point the camera up. So we'll skim to this show. So here's a volume of The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. This volume is from 1991. It's the one containing the episode All's Well That Ends Well. We got Zippity Doo Dah. It's a later pressing. As you can see, it has the mid-90s sing-along songs logo. Although it's a strange variant, it opens the way the 86 printing does. There is no label on this. You can tell it's ripped off. Or print date even to indicate what this is. I am going to assume that this is one of the mini classics Winnie the Pooh featurettes. This one's Under the Sea. We used to have like little labels, like little M labels on the bottom to indicate which tape it was. But yeah, see the print date says Sing Under the Sea. Yes, it's the Under the Sea volume of Disney sing-along songs. This is one of the mini classics. It's one of the Winnie the Pooh ones. I think it's Winnie the Pooh and Tigger too. Actually, yeah, that one without the label or print date, that's Honey Tree. Honey Tree, Under the Sea, Tigger 2, Winnie the Pooh and A Day for Eeyore luckily has the label still intact. Again, all the 1990 mini classics editions. We have another sing-along songs tape, Friend Like Me, from 1993. We've got a Lion King VHS without a cover. Oh wait, here's Honey Tree with a label still on it. So that mystery one, you know what it is? I got it. It's another New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh volume. I believe it's volume 1 or volume 2, whichever volume it is. It's The Great Honey Pot Robbery. So this basically became, Kyle tries to guess which tape is what. That's what it's come to. And Blustery Day has a label on it, conveniently. Again, the 1990 Mini Classics edition. And a coverless Beauty and the Beast VHS from 92. The ending of it is different from the one that's on the main shelf. The one on the main shelf has the Aladdin and Sleeping Beauty previews at the start, then the movie, and then the previews for Pinocchio and 101 Dalmatians, at the end, after the movie is over. And the one without the case is the second pressing, where the Pinocchio trailer is moved up to the first set of coming attractions, and only the 101 Dalmatians preview is at the very end of the VHS. So these are all just extras and such, kind of different stories as to why I have them, sort of duplicates. This Pinocchio holds a bit of a sentimental value because even though it's not in good condition, I could tape up the spine. It was the first time I had ever gotten the 1985 VHS release of Pinocchio, and that was way back in fall 2005. And I had gotten this one in fall 2006, even though the case, it looks like somebody took the artwork from the 86 case and put it in a 1994 era case. Fantasia, I've had this one for a while, but I had a slightly better conditioned copy, so I put that in the main shelf, and then sort of put this one here. Long story behind Bambi, I won't get into it. Cinderella, again, came across a better conditioned copy, but I still held on to this one. Alice, I got this one back in fall 2007, before I ever got that box set of the 86 Classics editions. And this is this Lady and the Tramp, even though it's a VHS size case, beta. To the right, I have multiple Sleeping Beauties. Kind of a long story behind that one. There's a Robin Hood beta tape. That's actually the first time I had gotten the... Somebody smashed that in a long time ago. This was the first time I had ever gotten the black clamshell case Robin Hood, the first ever Classics release from 1984, because at the time I couldn't find it on VHS, and I said, oh, you know what? I'll get it on beta. That was back in 2006. And I got this in around early 2007. This is the first time I'd ever gotten the 86 reprinting of Robin Hood in a good condition one, because the one I got before that broke. That's not in this shelf. That's elsewhere. This is actually a variant. This 91 Robin Hood VHS has the later pressing. The one that doesn't have the previews swaps the red-orange FBI and anti-piracy screens for the green ones, and opens with the 1988 Gradient Classics logo, as opposed to the all-blue one. I had the two Fox and the Hounds since I was little. I think it was a case where relatives got us a copy of it, and my parents got us the other, and they didn't realize that we already had it. But yeah, we had two copies of the Fox and the Hound. And conveniently, for me, they're the two variants. One opens with only the Lion King trailer, and the other one opens with both the Lion King trailer and the Return of Jafar trailer. This was the Aladdin I had since I was a kid, and as you can see, it's all mangled up. And unlike the other one, the flap saying the original animated classic is absent. This was the Snow White 1994 VHS release that I had since I was a kid as well. The condition's not the greatest. It's better than most of the other. It fared better than most of the other tapes, for sure. This one, conveniently, is a variant. This is the later pressing that opens with the Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection logo. The original pressings of the Masterpiece edition of Snow White open with the 1986 Walt Disney Home Video logo. Here we have a sealed copy of The Little Mermaid from the 1998 VHS release. I wonder if this was one of the winners, and no one will ever know, unless I one day decide to break the seal. It's like, maybe that was one of the winners. And this was the Lion King VHS I had since I was a kid. Again, I put it in this shelf because I got a much better conditioned copy of it last year. So before we logically move that way, I just want to show the beta tapes. So we'll keep the camera fixed here. very briefly, because we already saw this, Dumbo, the 82 sale-only release. Storybook Classics, which I do not have on VHS. I don't have a beta player. Oh, one day I might get one. These are nice to have. The Love Bug. So the Dumbo release, 82. Storybook Classics, I believe, is 82. Love Bug, 1980, so this was one of the first ever Disney video releases. And this is, I mentioned in an earlier video, this was one of the ones where it was a former rental, but after Disney took it back, they tested it and then repackaged it as a sale-only tape. I've got a few of these. I still gotta reorganize this shelf. A lot of these movies are not in chronological order. I kind of put it together hastily. Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, also from 1980. Herbie Rides Again, I believe this is from 81? 82? Sometimes I'm kind of rusty on these, but this is another one of those former rentals. Made sale only. Darby O'Gill and the Little People, 81. The third Herbie film, Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo. This is the Spring 85 release. I don't have Herbie Goes Bananas, though. Just a heads up. And the 1981 release of The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. The original. I've actually got 2 copies of this. And the Dumbo Beta as well. Here's the ones that are stacked on top of that row. Another Robin Hood, but in better condition. Walt Disney Comedy and Magic Review, which I showed you the VHS copy of. And another one of those filler releases that came out alongside the big titles during a holiday promotion. This one is from 1986, Jiminy Cricket's Christmas, another clip show affair featuring scenes from films that were not available on video at the time. Much like a Disney Christmas gift. Okay. Show, yeah, before I show the, yeah. Pete's Dragon, the 1980 release, with the stock number of 10. This was the first one pressed. I believe it just like the first one in the catalog, period. This one's a bit uncomfortable to show, given what's been going on lately, but the 81 release of The Devil and Max Devlin, one of those ill-fated PG films that Disney put out in the late 70s and the early 80s before founding Touchdown. There's the original 83 video release of Tron. Don't have it on VHS, unfortunately, just beta. The VHS, interestingly, there's the stock number and everything isn't, or no, it's not inside a Mickey. There's a Mickey above it that says stereo. I guess this was in mono. But it's got the full cover. All the Disney stuff is on the side and the back, but not the front cover. 3 Lives of Thomasina, released from 1985. With that layout. And an 86 release of Mary Poppins, although there was an 85 release of Mary Poppins where you couldn't remove the artwork from the case, but this is the 86 removable artwork case. That might have been the one released for the Bring Disney Home for Good promotion of 1986, late 86. The beta of Scary Tales, and in the original case, too, where you can't remove the artwork, unlike my VHS copy, which is a later pressing. Two limited gold edition Cartoon Classics tapes, Disney's Best, The Fabulous 50s, and Silly Symphonies. I got repeats of those, and a repeat of Pinocchio as well. I got actually a couple of Pinocchios on in the next row. Give me a second here. Alright, we're coming up on the 26-minute mark. Look at that. Alright. I don't want this to be too long. Alright, so next up, Donald's B Pictures, which is a limited gold edition too. These were from 1985. The limited gold editions were from 84. The packaging was great, collectible. Another limited gold edition too, the Disney Dream Factory, 1933 to 1938. Again, all Silly Symphonies. Life with Mickey. Nice and shiny. Look at that. It's just so satisfying. I think them being by casing emphasizes that. And From Pluto with Love. Nice and shiny. Look at that. That's the upside of having big lights, like big office-like lights in this basement. There's a couple of Pinocchio and Dumbo, and even a Sword in the Stone repeat that I don't really need to show. So I'll show the last of these beta tapes. The 1986 release of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, which was from the Wonderland sale. Cartoon compilation, Mickey Knows Best. This was also from the Wonderland sale, May 1986. And then an entry in the Walt Disney Video Along series. I believe these were just basically storybook illustrations, and a narrator would read them. There were 3 volumes, and I just happened to have the one for Winnie the Pooh. I believe there was one for select Disney animated classics, which would make sense. Let me put these in here, and we'll just briefly go through the non-Disneys. This is sort of random assortment. It's just stuff I found down here in this basement that still happen to have a case. But this one, to me, is pretty interesting. It's a cleaning cassette for a TDK cleaning cassette for Betamax players. Just put it in. And even has a little checklist there. Use the following blocks for your checking using this cleaning cassette as a guide. And even in different languages, too. Look at that. This cassette is for cleaning only, cannot be used for recording or playback. Interestingly, when I was a kid, I had a disc like this, but for my Sega Dreamcast in the late 90s. It had little bristle brushes underneath so that when you put it in the Dreamcast and it spun around, it cleaned all the dust. That's pretty neat. A little guide there on how your picture should look. So neat. Gotta dig these 80s bars and lines on the bottom here. There's an MGM United Artists VHS release of The Secret of Nim, Don Bluth's debut animated feature after leaving Disney in 1979. The movie came out in 1982. And you could tell this is a much later release of the movie because it says from the director of All Dogs Go to Heaven, Land Before Time, and An American Tail. All Dogs Go to Heaven being the latest of those movies, which was released in 1989. Secret of Nim. I believe this VHS is from 1994. It might even say on the back, actually. Yep, 94. It actually has a copyright date. That's nice of them. You don't see that on the Disney ones. I did a video on these Beatles VHS tapes, but here is the Media Home Entertainment Inc. video release of Magical Mystery Tour. The cover is from 1981, but the tape inside is from 1981. Here's the 1987 MPI home video release of the Beatles' Help, which was their second feature film, the first being A Hard Day's Night. The Beatles Live, Ready, Steady, Go Special Edition. Some really high-quality live Beatles footage that you can actually hear from, I believe it's from '64. Tape runs about 25 minutes, but it was still a blast to watch. The MGM United Artists video release of Yellow Submarine from 1987, featuring the international cut of the film and not the original UK cut, the world premiere cut that had the Hey Bulldog sequence. And this was kind of a schlocky, unauthorized release from Good Times Video. But the footage on it was very interesting to watch. And as I stated in the video that I did on these Beatles VHS tapes, it has one of those, yeah. That means that this was a recordable VHS, not a pre-recorded one. We have a VHS of Grease here from 1990. This was the VHS of Grease that I saw growing up whenever it was on. I also have the 98 release that was for its 40th anniversary, 30th. I just don't, no wait, no, 20th. Grease came out in 1978. The 98 release would be the 20th anniversary. So yeah, that had a special at the beginning before the start of the movie. We just happened to have the two. I guess my folks forgot that they had Grease on VHS. Spice World, it just happened to be down here. Although I noticed that this one kind of got reappraised not too long ago. I think a lot of the movies that came out in the late 90s and the early 2000s that were considered terrible are being reappraised, especially if you go to like Letterboxd and stuff like that. Interestingly, not too long ago I watched James Rolfe's take on the Spice World movie, which he reviewed with Aaron Plays and somebody else who might have been Mike Matei, somebody, and they were sort of talking about it as if it were a guilty pleasure. I haven't seen the movie since the 90s, so I couldn't tell you, but it's in here. And lastly, we have the Dean Martin Celebrity Roasts. These were a hoot back in the day. Man of the Hour, Frank Sinatra, so yeah, this is a roast of Frank Sinatra. But yeah, it's just a random assortment. Like, some of them are genuine, like ones that I was genuinely looking for. I don't think I'll add to it. It's just they happen to be there, and I didn't want them to be sitting on top of a cardboard box. It's like, I'll give them a home, so I'll put them all in here. Alright, so we made it to the 33-minute mark of this. Let's do a quick overview of this waffle shelf that I just bought the other day for the sole purpose of giving my Disney VHS tapes and beta tapes a better home than just stacks of boxes and crates like those to the left. Thanks for watching. This is Kyle O, signing off.